Huh. Xbox Game Pass now costs $30. Come on, that's not that much. I pay more for my freaking Pornhub subscription. Just kidding. I don't have Pornhub subscription. I do be paying for that Gunnar AI. You know what I'm saying? Hey. I don't support this Xbox freaking de- degeneracy. I support other degeneracies though. Fuck. I gotta stop making those jokes. I swear. Warlet.
Present day. Present time.
Sorry, guys, we won't be talking about Xbox today, but we'll be talking about why I don't consider Windows an operating system no longer. Now, before you get angry and you go in the comments and start typing really hard, just hear me out. So, to me, what Windows feels like now, Windows is less of an operating system. It's really less of an operating system than it was in the past, and it's more like a user data wrapper sitting on top of a bloated service layer. And this OS is pretty much carried by Microsoft's ecosystem. Telemetry, ads, even AI that freaking sends snapshots to wherever Microsoft is doing with it, because it's definitely not data mining or being sold to someone. See, it's not the same thing as a platform as it used to with, Windows 7 or even XP. Don't get me wrong, people do call me a Linux evangelist and they tell me that I don't know about Windows, but I have I've actually used MS-DOS, which was Windows pre-Windows, and they bought it and rebranded it. Not only that, I've used Windows 3.0, Windows XP, Windows Vista, Windows 95, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 11. I've been all over the place. Like, here's the thing, I grew up with computers. It was my obsession. Plus, I had an engineer dad, and I used to take his books. I used to get made fun of because I used to read his fat ass books when he was in school, and I used to read them at lunch. I used to be bald. Like I being a Windows user almost my whole life, and yeah, it came to a point my mom actually thought I was autistic, and she wasn't really wrong. Like, some people like to say I don't know how to optimize Windows with on my gaming test, which is a lie because I really know how to optimize Windows. I even do things to the CMD that people don't know. I do HK optimizations. I go boss deep when it comes to optimizing Windows. And I'll be honest, all this takes me like 3 hours because you got to do it, but you can't break it. You got to do it. Know what to eliminate, what trays, things debloated, basically, and what things you could remove and not remove because if not, it's pretty much going to break. Now, that said, Windows wasn't always like that. Like, and okay, unpopular opinion. The last good Windows we had was actually Windows 7. I said it. I said it. It had minimal bloat, and it was actually made with power users in mind, which bye. Windows doesn't do that anymore. Like, whatever happened to Windows? Now, I'll talk a little bit about Mac OS. Mac OS kind of sucks now, but I'll pick it over Windows any day, I'll be honest. Now, Mac OS wasn't always like shitty. See, my problem with Mac OS is that Mac who the fuck is calling me? Okay, so Mac OS at one point you will be able to install a license and install in whatever hardware but those days are pretty much gone. And when it comes in sense of gaming, Mac OS is not really made for that, but it does have good areas. It's still good in certain areas. But Mac OS decided to lock things up as always. Now, unpopular opinion, I hate the Windows file system. I guess this is not like why Windows is not an operating system. This is more like why I hate Windows. Not really. I got way more than that. But anyway, continuing. So, unpopular opinion, Windows file system structure, I actually don't fuck with it. I freaking hate it. I feel it's so disorganized compared to Mac. and Linux is different. And people think that the Linux file system is hard, but when you actually start understanding, you actually get the chance to learn it, you start to realize how much more organized the file system is as compared to Windows. You're just used to Windows. You're used to seeing things how Windows structures it. But in the reality is Windows is kind of disorganized. Like I hate going through a file system of fixing someone's computer that's on Windows. And don't even get me started with the background process on Windows. Yo, the background processes in Windows is so much, and there's some that you go in your task manager and disable them, and every time they'll come back like it's the freaking black plague. Oh, and don't get me started with the AI bullshit and the snapshots that are being sent to whoever know Daddy Microsoft of what the fuck they're doing. Why do they gotta know what you're seeing on your screen? That's kind of creepy, to be honest. Definitely getting data mined. And the AI, oh my god, I'm gonna talk more about the AI is so freaking annoying. It's like, let's say you're gonna go up here and you're gonna like, you're gonna search a little file and it asks you to Bing it. What? Why would I want to Bing a file? Or the little AI pops again and say, "Hey, you need this," and they pretend like this is for your benefit, but it's actually for their benefit. It's like, "Oh no, you want this? You need this?" No, I don't. And why is there ads in Windows 11? It's basically bloatware. Why is there ads in an operating system that you pay that sweet hard cash for? So it comes to a point I don't like. Oh, let's talk. And don't get me about the subscription left and right. Like, let's go. Yeah, because we need more subscription in this economy. It comes to a point I don't even consider Windows an operating system. Literally a Microsoft ecosystem and a sandbox. And if you're a beta tester, if you actually mess around with Windows 12, you know that things are about to get a lot worse with new Windows. So yes, the meme that we have that every other Windows is good. I don't even think that meme is true anymore. It's like it's gonna get worse in 12. You know, and it came to a point in my computer, like I would say like my computer hunger, I'm gonna call it that for other terms. It came to a point that it got so bad that I started to see Linux really appealing. And I've always messed with Linux like here and there, but I've never like done the whole thing till like a few years ago. So yeah, back to what I was saying, it made Linux look way more appealing. And I've dabbled here and here. I had basic knowledge. But after Windows 7 and 8, I I was so I was like, yeah, fuck this. I nuke all my drives, install Arch. Now I don't consider Arch for beginners, but that's what I did, and I learned it, and I was like, oh well, it just works. Like I don't know. I really don't know what happened after Windows 7. And yes, it took me some time to actually learn Linux. But a few years ago, for the gamer, the average user, yeah, Linux was, I'll admit, Linux was pretty hard for like the average user, but Linux got a lot easier now. And gaming, I would say like the past 2 or 3 years, gaming has been flawlessly. Now we got the kernel level on the sheet. We're not gonna talk about that. I talk about that in all my videos enough. Anyway, but yes, Windows started to get so bad, especially and 10. 10 was okay, but 11. Oh, I try 11. That's why I'm like, yeah, no, no, thank you. But getting back to the conversation, so yeah, I was willing to actually learn Linux and actually move my whole freaking workflow into a Linux workflow. Eventually, I decided to go back to Windows, not go back to it eventually, but I decided to try it to see if it annoyed me, how I feel about it, and I got so annoyed with 11 that I was like, you know what? Why did I even try to see if I prefer Windows after I've been on Linux for a while? It was just a horrible experience. I started to get annoyed to be honest. So no longer you will be held by software projects called. Wait, what the fuck? I was reading the wrong line. Sorry, guys. Anyway, so I also want to talk about Winbolt. it's come to a point in Linux that you don't even like, for example, if you're a person who freaking depends on Photoshop, you could actually run Photoshop under Linux. So there's this project called Wimbo, which kind of does like a VM, but only does the exact resources that you have. And some people have to make it look like it's running natively, but it's running a VM. It kind of works. It kind of, I wouldn't say it works like it, but it sort of have like the same idea with Proton, sort of. But through a VM, it only grabs what it needs to run that app, and it makes the app look like it's native, like a native window. Like, one of these windows that you move and wobble or whatever. It looks a lot like that, and it runs Photoshop. So a lot of people, like, I mean, they're there. So if you want that, that software is not going to be really an issue no more under Linux. But so, oh yeah, so I thought about it getting Photoshop, but I'll be honest, I don't really care about Photoshop. I already learned GIMP and DaVinci. I really don't need no Adobe stuff, and they don't look like they're doing so well. People don't seem that happy about it. Now, I'm not saying the Linux is the answer for everyone, but man, you won't imagine the things you could do under open source software plugins, how you can modify things, the customization. You could do all those things for free. Like, I normally, a lot of these softwares I had to use, I had to pay, but like some of these open softwares are on Windows. But back when I was in Windows, I didn't even know those existed. But it's just the customization. I like how versatile Windows is. Now, you don't really have to use Linux. You could do what you want. But you don't have to lock yourself into Microsoft. There is options if you're willing to learn. Like, day by day, Linux is getting closer and closer to Windows on gaming performance, and some games are even outperforming. Now we're having some DirectX 12 issues on Nvidia side that will get solved eventually. But I'm starting to notice that Linux actually, a lot of like they're not like super bad bugs, but we're getting certain bugs of an operating system back in that Windows 11 used to have a few years. I mean, Windows 7 used to have few years ago, and that's actually a good thing. It's a good thing because it means we're actually getting pretty close to being a freaking respect, like a legit, like we're legit. I mean, it is legit, but hey, it's going to get better. I've progress in Linux since it's open source, and a lot of people come together. It These issues get solved pretty fast. It's kind of cool. Like, I'm not only about like the Linux operating system. I like the culture, the people I meet. It's not just about that, about what they stand for. Sticking it to bit corpo. It's kind of like it's such. I don't know how to explain it, but it's such a cool community, and it's so diverse. Like, there's so many different people from different backgrounds, and they all just come together to work together. It's such a beautiful way. I mean, a beautiful thing. Like, that's one of the things I've always loved about Linux, like the community. Now, certain communities, I'm not gonna name any names, but yeah, they could be a little unhinged or toxic. But hey, that's not everyone in that community, okay? So, where was I again? But yeah, I don't freaking know what else to say. Anyway, so remember, guys, there's options. Everything's getting better. Now the kernel level anti-cheat, that eventually is going to be solved. You don't really gotta wait for SteamOS. I mean, you can if you want, but uh, I mean, you can learn any distro. Yeah, I'm gonna just shut up. I recommend CachyOS. Uh, anyways, so I think that's all I want to say for today. As always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, as always, stay spooky, stay weird. Bye.
Dim, dam, dadilam, vacarme s'en va dans l'oubli éternel. Et Gustave, dom guardiam, dilim, dididididam, lute sera dodidom, seram. Dim, dim, da da da, dim, dim, da da da, dim.